All right, guys, back in the garage. Some of you might recognize this Acura TLX. This is the TLX that my friend's sister bought from the dealership that needed a bunch of work. This time, the complaint is her idle stop start doesn't work. And, the battery tested good, apparently, but it's also due for an oil change or service. So did that too. But assuming this is the original battery that's in the car, which is 650 cold cranking amps, which let me show you. It tested good because when you test it at 650 and the battery's rated at 875 cold cranking amps, it's going to be a good battery. But since it's rated at 875, it's not a good battery, and the car won't go into idle stop start. And that's the issue with this. So I put an original Honda replacement battery in it, took it for a rip, and the idle stop start started working again, and we're all nice and dandy. But usually when you have idle stop start problems, you would actually get a warning on the dash saying there's an idle stop start problem. There's also other parameters that the computer has to see to be able to go into idle stop start, which is, if you're using air conditioning, rear defroster, any kind of load on the battery, that will prevent it from going into idle stop start. Also coolant temperature. There's a whole list of things that prevent it from going to idle stop start. But usually, easiest thing to do is check the battery. You're starting and your starting system starts and ends at the battery pretty much. So if you're having idle stop start problem, but you're still having, your car starting up normally, might want to test the battery. And especially during the wintertime, we get a lot of customers that complain that their idle stop start doesn't work during the wintertime. And the reason for that is because during the wintertime, it's cold. It's also, your coolant temperature and your ambient air temperature. But a lot of times people are using their your defroster, your heated seats, and your rear defogger or your side mirror defoggers. And that puts a big load on your battery. So it also prevents that from going into idle stop start, especially during the wintertime. So, and then make sure the battery in this box, because they put a cover on it, you can't tell if it's the original battery or what kind of battery in it is, and it's what it's rated for. Make sure you take the cover off, see what kind of battery. It's not an aftermarket battery that's rated higher, but you're testing it at a lower cold cranking amps, and giving you a passing result. Right when I pulled up to the back alley at the first stop. Went to idle stop start, which, so all you needed was a battery. It's no big deal. So anyways, hope that was enough informative for all you guys. I hope you liked the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, so I just want to show you what I meant about the battery passing with the battery I took out of that Acura TLX. So when people who test these batteries, right, they go by the battery cover, which says it has 650 cold cranking amps, which, nobody's going to take that cover off to inspect whatever the battery's underneath. So they usually just go by that number on the cover. So when they tested at that number, the battery, it passes because if you have a higher cold cranking amp battery, which this one has, which is 875, it's going to pass because, I guess as your battery ages and it depletes itself, you get less remaining cold cranking amps, and it's right around that range of that 650, which still passes the battery test. So here I hook up my battery tester, right? And we're going to test it at that 650, which is what the cover says, right? And it should say, it's a good battery. So there you go. It says it's a good battery, 12.5 volts, right? And so it's a good battery. Nothing's wrong. So but in reality, the battery that was under that cover is actually it's an 875 cold cranking amp battery. So let's test it as a 875 cold cranking amp battery then, which you all probably know it's gonna fail because AGM, CCA, 875 cold cranking amps, and it's going to say it's failed because it's, yeah, it says replace battery because it's way below the 875 cold cranking amp rating. So for your idle stop start to work, I can't remember the top of my head, but I think it's about 70% state of health of the battery. So it has to be above 70% for it to go to idle stop start state of health, because your car does have a your car is constantly testing that battery to make sure the battery state of health is good, so it can go into idle stop start. But when it detects that your battery is below that 70% of state of health, let's just say it's 70%, it's not going to go into idle stop start, and that's what happened with this Acura TLX. It's not just the Acuras, it's also the Honda, your Pilots, your Ridgelines, Odysseys, all those cars that go into idle stop start really relies on that battery to go into idle stop start. So when it drops below the, I think the 70% state of health, it's not going to go into idle stop start. So if you're having that kind of issue, make sure you double check your battery and remove that battery cover to make sure it has the correct battery in it, and you're testing it with the correct cold cranking amps. So you don't have this, I guess it's not an issue, but the confusion of, oh, your battery's good when you take it to a place when they test it, and then you're just like scratching your head and wondering, why is my idle stop start not working still? And that is the reason. So make sure you know what the actual cold cranking amp of the battery is. And if you're wondering where I got this battery tester, I got this way back. I think it was like, can't remember, maybe almost 10 years now. Yeah, I got it so I can get printouts for customers for battery tests. It also does like ground test, starter test, alternator test, and stuff like that. And it also, you can print it all out and show the customer and stuff like that. This thing wasn't cheap. I think I got it for like over $500, I think. I got it from the Mac guy. I haven't seen the Mac guy in a while. I don't know if they're still around, but yeah, that's where I got it from. I don't even know. I think this company's still around, Associated. But yeah, this is this has been a good battery tester for me.